people to my law. Incline your ears to the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings of old, which we have heard and known. Our fathers have told us. We will not hide them from our children, showing to the generation to come the praises of the I Am, and his strength and his wonderful works that he had done. For he established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers, that they should make them known to their children, that the generation to come might know them, even the children which should be born, who should arise and declare them to their children, that they might set their hope in God and not forget the works of God, but keep his commandments, and might not be as their fathers, a stubborn and rebellious generation, a generation that set not their hearts aright, and whose spirit was not steadfast with Yahweh. The children of Ephraim, being armed and carrying bows, turned back in the day of battle. They kept not the covenant of God, who refused to walk in his law, and forgot his works and his wonders that he had showed them. Marvelous things he did in the sight of their fathers in the land of Egypt, in the field of Zoan. He divided the sea and caused them to pass through, and made the waters to stand as an heap. In the daytime he healed them. He led them with a cloud, and all the night with a light of fire. He clave the rocks in the wilderness and gave them drink as out of the depths of great depths. And he brought streams also out of the rock, and caused waters to run down like rivers. And they sinned yet more against him by provoking him, the Most High, in the wilderness. And they tempted God in their heart by asking meat for their lust. Yea, they spake against God. They said, can God furnish a table in the wilderness? Behold, he smote the rock, and that the waters gushed out and the streams overflowed. Can he give bread also? Can he provide flesh for his people? Therefore the I Am heard this, and was wroth. So a fire was kindled against Jacob, and anger also came up against Israel, because they believed not in the I Am, and trusted not in his salvation. Though he had commanded the clouds from above, and opened the doors of heaven, and had rained down manna upon them to eat, and had given them of the corn of heaven. Man did eat angels' food. He sent them meat to the full, and he caused the east wind to blow in the heavens. By his power he brought in the south wind. Psalms chapter 78, verses 1 through 26. Deliver me from the hands of evil spirits, who have swayed the thoughts of men's hearts, and let them not lead me from thee, my God. Establish thou me and my seed, that we go not astray henceforth and forever. Jubilees chapter 12 and verse 20. Yes, all praises, all praises. Yes, we're in the last half of the book, 1 Kings. Yes, the book of 1 Kings, the last half of chapter 22. Chapter 22, the book of 1 Kings, as you prepare. We ended with verse 27, and we're going to begin with verse 28. Yes, and also we thank God for those of you who have been with us since the beginning, and those of you who have been with us here and there's about, and those of you who have just subscribed or about to subscribe, calling those things that are not as though they are. All praises to the Most High. And also, we also give praise to him who all glory is due, who all majesty and power and honor and might, and those things, in praising him for all that he's done, how he setteth one down and raised one up. We praise even the great I Am. Yes, that spirit that moved upon the water, the God of Isaac, Abraham, and Jacob. Not in that order. But we thank God. We thank him. We call him the power, which is translated God. He is God. In some languages, he's Tata Nzambi. In some languages, Sanini Nanini. In some languages, he's the Heya, American Indian. And also, he's known by Ya Allah in Arabic. Yes, the God. I am God. That's what it translates to. So let us give him praise and thanks, even for the small things that we have encountered in our day. If you don't have a home or a car to sleep in, just thank him for a tent. If you don't have a tent, thank him for a blanket that you can lay on the ground with. Yes, because these things really are just of this society. We're used to it. I'm used to it. And the person of the Most High should be adaptable. You have to be adaptable. Yes, you do. You have to be adapted. You have to know that life can change in an instant. It may not in your lifetime, but if you're a soldier, if you are someone who journeys throughout the land and the earth, life changes in an instant. If you're in the war-torn countries and you look at your neighbor one day and the other day the apartment building is gone, life changes in an instant. Takes 9 months to make a human being, but yet only a seconds or a flash or a fraction of a second and a little more to demise him or her. So therefore you go around and you said, I shall live long, I will glory, and I will live and be happy and drink and be merry. Commit fornication and adultery and do those things that my body desires. But beware, even the psalmist, even the one who wrote, the wise one told you, young man, take heed to your ways. Yes, we're in the 28th verse. We're going to read it, the 28th verse. Now, and it reads, and Micaiah said, if thou return at all in peace. This is when he slapped the old man. He slapped one of them. He slapped him and said, where did the Spirit of God go? I believe that was in... it was somewhere around 28, 29, somewhere in there. I'm not going to go way back there, but either way. He said, if thou return at all in peace, the I am have not spoken by me. Micaiah, he prophesied. And he said, if you return at all in peace. In other words, you're not going to return back in peace. The I am have not spoken by me. And he said, hearken, O people, every one of you. So the king of Israel, which is Ahab, and Jehoshaphat, which is king of Judah, went up to Ramoth Gilead. And the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat, I will disguise myself. Now, he just set himself up. Ahab, which is Ahab. Remember, when he said king of Israel, that means Ahab. I will disguise myself and enter into battle, but put thou on the robes. And the king of Israel disguised himself and went into battle. See, one thing about the man of God or the prophet of the Most High, he's not going to be afraid to tell the truth and what he sees and what he heard. Period. He's not going to even refrain from it, because he knows if he don't do it, woe is him. Yes. Because he has set his heart to follow the Most High. And we all should be that way. Set our hearts to follow the Most High. Woe if I don't live his commandments. Woe if I don't do the best I can and what I can in this heathenistic world, this world that is, there's no such thing as an antichrist. Because even in the book of Daniel, he said he despised God. It wasn't no Christ there. Who would have told you? Who would have told you? That's why I throw away the book. I'm trying to give you clues and instances of why I throw that book out, and I just use it mainly to talk to you or anyone else I might encounter. I've encountered other groups, outside on the streets and everything else. I don't use that. But God, Oh, don't get me wrong. I might be a little older, but I do talk to people outside of just right here on social media. I'm not afraid at all. There have been some scary times, but not afraid to do what I have to do. But either way, when God sets it up and it's time for you to push forward toward the Most High, speak. You ain't got to sit up there and, oh, it might be one, and then that one turns into 10. Instead, one might even turn to 20 people listening to what you have to say. If you're anointed and called by the Most High, you don't have to have a great congregation or great people listening to you. This means nothing. I mean, this is just one avenue of how a man or a woman of the Most High can communicate with even Israel and Jacob, those whom the Most High will send them to. Yes, God will send you to somebody, whether it's in a grocery store, anywhere. I mean, it's just not limited to Christianity or whatever you call that, whatever you want to say. And this person, this man that transgressed the laws, which they call a man of sin, he despises God. Read the book of Daniel. He's the one that will cuss God. He knows he has no inheritance with the Most High. He's going to do what he's going to do. Yes. Now, and it came to pass, we're in and it came to pass when the captain, verse 32, when the captains of chariots saw Jehoshaphat, that they said, surely it is the king of Israel. And they turned aside to fight against him, and Jehoshaphat cried out. In other words, the battle got sore. You can play these games of war, your whatever games of war and fighting and demising, you blowing up and seeing body parts, Call of Duty or whatever you want to call it. And you're just going back and you that super soldier. But when those bullets, when those arrows, when that sword is slashing back at you, who you going to run to? You only get one shot in war and battle. That's it, one shot. Once your shot is gone, you're no more. Your spirit is separated from your body, period. That's called death. If you're not prepared, if you're not in your mind saying that this day I might die, even in regular life, this day I might die, but for now I'm going to live. In other words, you give your respect unto the things that could happen, but praise God for the things that are happening now, even your life. Yes, this is why we must always praise the Most High. Yes, he's wonderful. He's wonderful. Yes. Oh, I tell you, my spirit is just so stirred up on the inside. Whew, just to talk about such things, I get into realism. Not in the stuff that see, one thing about the Satans, they take you and they put you in smoke screens. They make you think of illogical, irrational things. You're in a finite world that is influenced by infinite things. Don't get it twisted. You in warfare, brother. You in warfare, sister. And Jehoshaphat, he saw it and he started hollering out, oh, I'm not him, I'm not him. He didn't say that. This is what I'm saying. But either way, and it came to pass when the captains of the chariots perceived that it was not the king of Israel, they turned back from pursuing him. This ain't who we want. Forget it. We don't want him. And a certain man drew a bow. Now this is where spirits, don't know where they come from. You don't know what that spirit is doing. You don't know why that person pointed that rifle or that bullet in that direction you're in. He said a certain man drew a bow at a venture. He didn't even know where he was, and smote the king of Israel between the joints of the harness. Wherefore he said unto the driver's chariot, turn thine hand. This is a fool's death, because you have to remember that even, I believe it was the king, one of the kings, it was King David. Yeah, King David. He got hung up between two, he was lifted up to the earth, either Saul or David. Lifted up between the earth and the ground. and he died. They took him off. You had one of them that fell on his own sword. But yet he didn't kill himself. So somebody else killed him or put him to death. And he says now, and the man drew the bow of the adventure and smote the king of Israel between the joints and the harness. Therefore he said unto the driver of his chariot, turn thine hand and carry me out of the host, for I am wounded. Carry me out of the battle, I'm wounded. No, to the last man we fight. It's like Burkina Faso. If it's your land and you're fighting for something that is worth your life, you fight. To the last breath, to the last man, to the last movement, you have to fight. Because at that point in battle, you have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose, but all to gain. Especially if you are of the children of Jacob. I'm not talking about fighting for these corporations and these backwards lying politicians. No. I'm talking about a battle for your land, for your dignity, for those things that for your family that they have lost their dignity, things that God has given you. You can't lose them. Because once you figure out you can lose them, the fact is that you will fight like a rabid dog. And that is the worst person to even come against. In other words, you have to think in your mind, I have nothing to lose. See, the person that thinks they have something to lose will always fear to lash out in all that they have. But a person that knows that if this goes, I have nothing to lose. So let me win this. I'm playing a little psychological thing here. But either way, in other words, don't let them pull you down, even to your last breath. I already know what that feels like, and God will give you peace at the time that it's time. He will give you peace in the face of imminent danger. Whether he deliver you or not, he will give you peace. And you will either leave or you will die. One of the two. It depends on the Most High. And precious in the sight of the Most High is the death of his anointed. Yes, precious. But in this here, he said, carry him out of battle. Verse 35, and the battle increased that day, and the king was stayed up in his chariot against the Syrians. There was some Syrian that says, whoop, and it hit the king. And died at even. He died the next day. Because the evening is the start of a new day according to the calendar of the children of Shem. Not just Israel, but Shem. Evening, even with the children of Noah, evening is the start of the first day. Because out of darkness there comes light, and the moon comes from what planet, the sun, whatever. Soon as the first light hit from the moon, that is a new day. That is a new month. And at that evening after the new month is the first day of that month. Yes. And 7 days, you count 7 days. That evening is the seventh day unto the evening the next day. This is how it goes. For those of you who would like to have those things, there are apps in the App Store, in your App Store, according to what type of platform or phone you have. It's in your App Stores. It's just type moon phase, and it'll give you times of the moon within your region. Don't worry about whether you on a continent here in the east or the west or whatever. The moon is going to be the moon wherever it goes. It's not the same times because we live in different time zones. So we have to, it used to be the duty of the Levitical priest to ensure that the people understood when was the new month. After that, the people just count 7 days. It was a political priesthood. They had somebody in every city that would determine this. And sometimes the people will do this. Yes. He says he's wounded, and the battle increased that day. The king was stayed up in his chariot against the Syrians, and died at evening, and the blood ran out of the wound into the midst of the chariot. Verse 36. And there went a public proclamation throughout the host about the going down of the sun. Every man to his city, and every man to his own country. According to who? The prophecy of Micaiah, who prophesied no good to the king of Abraham. He said, I saw the children of Israel scattered like sheep, having no shepherd. If you follow me, you remember that. Go back and check the next chapter out and read on. Yes. And he says, and this, the word of the Most High, which he have told the prophet to speak. Was it the prophet, or was it the word of the Most High? Was it delivered from the Most High to a messenger, or what they call an angel, a spirit of the Most High, unto a man of God, which is also an angel, a prophet of the Most High, one who foretells, one who sees, one who hears God, or hears Yahweh, Yahuwah. So the king died and was brought into Samaria, and they buried the king in Samaria. That's the city. And one washed the chariot in the pool of Samaria, and the dogs lift up his blood, like the Most High said to King Ahab, through the prophet, through the Spirit of God, the angel to the prophet, who spoke to Micaiah and told him, the dogs licked up his blood. Yes. Now, according to the word of the I Am, which he spake. Have you ever watched one of those war movies? I remember Mel Gibson movie, We Were Soldiers, where the blood's even, the movie Platoon, where they had to wash from the wounded and the maimed and the lamed, and they had to, before the helicopters could take off again, before the stuff started making even the pilots sick. The smell of blood, they had to wash it. They used buckets and hoses to wash the floor of the helicopters. The Hueys. The Huey was the workhorse back then. The Cobra came a little later, but the Huey came was the workhorse around 1965. Yes, was the workhorse back then. And I mean, just the blood, just with the water. Even with some of the war movies you had where they got off at the beach and they did a amphibious landing, and next thing you know, you see them falling in the water, and all of a sudden the blood is, they try to put back on the helmet, and the sea is so full of blood from the machine guns shooting down soldiers and Marines in the amphibious landing that blood just runs down. It's something else. The smell of blood is not good. It's not. Once it's stale and stuff, if you don't find a way to fool your mind, you will throw up until you get used to it. Can't even keep down your food. And it says that he says, now the rest of the acts of Ahab and all that he did, and the ivory house which he made, and all the cities that he built, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? This is where we get into a little more detail in the Chronicles. And so Ahab slept with his fathers. This is what they mean, slept with your fathers. See, some of you say, your ancestors. That's just a cliche. Your ancestors are dead. Their spirits are separated from their bodies. Some of your ancestors were so wicked God got him in a special hill somewhere. And you say, listen to the ancestors. The devil is a liar. I ain't listening to no spirit that ain't of the Spirit of God. And if it ain't telling me something according to that commandment, statutes, and ordinances of the Most High, that spirit can go take a dive into the deepest hell. Now, come on here. And Jehoshaphat, the son of Asa, began to reign over Judah in the 4th year of Ahab, king of Israel. And Jehoshaphat was 35 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 20 and 5 years in Jerusalem, or Yasharal. And his mother's name, now we get into the mother's name, Azubah. Does that sound like a Yiddish name? Azubah. That's an African, or should I say, Akubulan. It is the name that they use, that they've been using all over in Egypt and parts of Africa and the Sudan, where Moses was a king in the land we call Sudan now. At the first cataract as you leave up from Egypt. Yes, at the first cataract. That's where Moses ruled. See, some of you don't even want to read the other ones, the other books, because you're so brainwashed with the books that they've accepted. Oh, this ain't right. This ain't right. No, you ain't right. Whose mother's name, Azubah, the daughter of Shihai. So she was the daughter of Shihai. Now she's the wife of who? Jehoshaphat. Or she's the mother of Jehoshaphat. And she was the daughter of Shihai. Now who was Shihai? I don't know. But he walked in all the ways of Asa his father, and he turned not aside from doing that which was right in the sight of the I. Nevertheless, the high places were not taken away, for the people offered burnt incense, and yet in the high places. Now you have to realize that Israel is supposed to be a holy state. Not as the ones, the fake ones. No. The children of Judah was a religious state, a religious government. Not religious, but should I say a spiritual government. That spirit was the spirit of the Most High until they decided they wanted to be like those who walk according to the flesh. They wanted a king. Now from then they started going downhill. We're going to try to finish this. Oof, it's a lot of chapters here. And so he slept with his fathers. And Jehoshaphat, son of Asa, began to reign in Judah. We're going to go on to 43. And he walked in all the ways of Asa's father and turned not aside from it. But he didn't take away the high places. In other words, the places where they burned incense, the places where, they did idol worship. He didn't take away that. Freedom of religion wasn't supposed to be the thing in the land of Israel, because there was only one God. There is only one God. And we should have no other God before him. So Jehoshaphat didn't do these. And Jehoshaphat made peace with the king of Israel. Now Jehoshaphat was of the seed of David. David had no more jurisdiction over Israel, but only Judah and Benjamin. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoshaphat and his might that he showed and how he warred, are they not written in the book of Chronicles of the king of Judah? It's a more detailed book. And the remnant of the Sodomites which remained in the day of his father Asa, he took out of the land. Oh, bless the Most High. He took the Sodomites out. Now, you need to go back to the book of Jasher to understand who the Sodomites were and how the Sodomites conducted themselves. Yes, it gives a more detailed information about the Sodomites. But we know they were the Sodomites, you might as well, if you come to the U.S. and different countries, Europe, some parts of Africa, and just notice the people on a Saturday, you'll know that's the way Sodomites were. the way the cops are and who they favor and who they don't favor. That's the way the Sodomites were. Who the judges were and how they were unfair in their judgments toward people based on your money, your skin color. That's the way the Sodomites were. And theirs was nothing compared to today. And there was no king in Edom. A deputy was king. Joseph had made ships of Tarshish to go to Ophir for gold, but they went not, for the ships were broken at Ezion Geber. Ophir, that's near Yemen. Shouldn't probably no gold there now. Shouldn't be. I mean, the people, the ones that were there, that were the clients, or the Reds they call them, or the servants of the true Arabs, they ramshacked that place. Now they're trying to rob Africa out of every slither of gold they can find. But you Africans don't, the governments of Africa don't mind. Some of them do, very few. You can have our diamonds, you can have our gold, you can treat our people like the dung of the earth. But the day you stand up, whoo, it's going to be something else. Yes, and Isaiah said, the son of Ahab, unto Jehoshaphat, Ahaziah, let my servants go with thy ships in the ships. But Jehoshaphat would not, and Jehoshaphat slept with his fathers, was buried with his father in the city of David his father, and Joram his son reigned in his stead. Joram and Ahaziah the son of Ahab began to reign in Israel, over Israel in Samaria. In other words, that was his capital. That's where he had his throne. The 17th year of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, and reigned 2 years over Israel. And he did evil in the sight. Now, what king in Israel was going to do good? God had already turned that Israel, it was split from David, put under another Israelite, and different Israelites rule this 10 tribes of Israel. And they are like the world is today, combining paganism with the things of the Most High. Witchcraft, or whatever you want to call it. You can say it was another form of Christianity. And Judah was not too far behind. They were iffy. Now, he did evil in the sight of the I Am, and walked in the way of his father, in the way of his mother, in the way of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin, for he served Baal and worshipped him, and provoked to anger the I Am of Israel, according to all that his fathers have done. You wanted a king, Jacob. Your ancestors wanted a king, Jake. They wanted a king. Now you have what you call a fleshly king too. You call him the son of Joseph. When God said in the Old Testament that there was nobody going to sit on the throne of David anymore. God took his throne back. He didn't give it back to man no more. But they made up a man to give it to. There may have been a prophet then. They may have been some type of guy, a deliverer, or judge or something. But nevertheless, was not a Messiah in the context that we put him in. Now, this is something to be investigated. And to have sound doctrine on who this person was that was back in that day. It definitely wasn't who we think is Yahweh, Yahushai, and Yahusha, and all these other things, and your, what you call them, ascendancy, and all these others. No. And then the whole New Testament is all twisted, and you got the commandments, and then you making a man out of God, then you got one beside God, then you got one standing on the right hand of God saying, I see something, and I'm telling all these lies. No. Give me a break. Even Moses himself couldn't stand on the right hand of God, and he was called the friend of God. But they served the God of Jezebel's father, all of Israel. And then they also had a little God in there too, a little commandments or whatever. They wanted to choose out of it, just like Christianity does. They'll choose different laws and then they'll say, okay, we'll choose this law, we'll have tithing. We're not going to obey these laws. We're not going to sacrifice nothing if we can possibly do it. No. We're not going to take a ribbon of blue around our collars and around our sleeves and the bottoms of our garments and make sure there's a hem. See, what God was telling them, I understand the brother. God was telling them, when you make a fringe, he said the fringe means hem around your garments. You got 4 holes in your garments, really. You got 5 holes in your garment. You got your collar, you got your sleeves. No, you got 4. You got where you, around your belly. And then just take a needle and put a thin thread or whatever as a ribbon. See, now the old English try to make you think elsewhere, and many of you are just wearing these silly looking English tapestry, what they call fringes. It's really just a hem. Just make sure he don't want you wearing ragged clothes. He want to make sure you got a hem in your garment. A hem. In other words, shouldn't be ragged around there like that. God is saying, hey, you're going to be neat. That's what he's saying. Then you put a little ribbon of blue around it, and it's good. God is not harsh. He's not going to have you running around wearing English tapestry on the bottom of your dresses and coats and stuff. I always knew something was wrong with that, but until God really revealed it to me through a brother, I realized what he was talking about. I said, oh, so that's what God is talking about. Nevertheless, we're going to see you on, should I say, right now, this is the 6th day of the Greco-Roman calendar. Or this is the 7th day. Yeah, this is the 7th day of the Greco-Roman calendar. We're going to see you on the 3rd day, which is Tuesday. Because Monday is the 2nd day of the week. Okay? What they call Monday. But Monday is the Sabbath, according to as I understand it, by the lunar calendar. Monday is the Sabbath of the Most High. Yes, Monday. So we're going to post that Tuesday. Take a little break and post. And from then on, we ask you to just understand and keep it in your mind to just keep observing as you deal with different situations in life, the commandments, statutes, and ordinances of the Most High. Those, especially those of the 10 Commandments, what we call the 10 Commandments. Yes, and some of you might say, how in the world you gonna call yourself an Egyptian or after the Egyptian things and you still obeying your own sensual desires? Being pagan in what you do, but yet say you have the negatives. Get out of here. But nevertheless, if we obey those things which God has straightened out and he issued to Moses, which was from the beginning, his laws, statutes, commandments, and ordinances, we will have peace.
Walk with me.